Freak Nation, go to lucasoil.com to find a line of products to keep all of your rides out in your garage, fat and happy. 2-wheel, 4-wheel, your speedboat. Go to lucasoil.com, inside your engine, outside your engine, inside your car, outside your car. They got it, man. Go to lucasoil.com. Matt Weaver at Matt Weaver RA on X. We were sent a text from the ailing Cole Cusimano, who still has enough strength to text us from his sick bed. He's forwarded us this Matt Weaver post saying, I think if we would still have the 2021 car, I would have about 50 Cup wins right now. I think switching to this car has limited us from winning. Kyle Larson. I'm not quite sure if that's tongue-in-cheek, but it's still a ballsy comeback from Kyle Larson. I don't know. I think it's a little far-fetched. Maybe.
Well, how many wins that season?
Yeah, 10.
Yeah.
10 wins in his championship season.
So fast forward just a few more years.
What was that,
10
Cody?
each season?
11.
11?
Oh, 11? Shit. Sorry, Kyle. I just know for a fact it wasn't at Super Speedway.
Yeah. Richie's laugh. Gotta have Richie's laugh up with Joey Logano's laugh up with, I don't know who else.
No,
Somebody
come on.
for
Nobody
Miller.
beats this. I can't play it because I'm on the wrong. Yeah. Can't play it. It's okay, Richie. It's okay. Okay. It's okay. I don't want to dig into the rabbit hole right here. And I know we get caught up in the moment. And I know we're talking about Kyle Larson got this close to sweeping the weekend. And he goes out and wins the Cup race, wins the truck race, didn't win the Xfinity Series race, but he was going to be the first one to do it other than Kyle Busch, who did it twice, where he swept. But with Kyle Larson and his dominance this weekend, is it Jimmy Johnson-esque? I know it, man. I know what you're going to think. Is it Jimmy Johnson-esque that we're witnessing this greatness of Kyle Larson limited with this Gen 7 car?
Are you saying we're being robbed?
I could be saying that. But everybody else is in the same damn car. If you're such a great driver, Kyle, make the damn adjustments and go out and win those 50 freaking races in the last 4 years.
Well, hold on a second. I hope you guys can help me out with this. And I think we will get into some discussions about this car and its mannerisms, so to speak, somewhere down the road. We've been on spring break for a while, so we have not had a chance to listen to the Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch interview that began pre-race last weekend, and then it was put out publicly this week. But in there, I've been told Kyle really breaks down this car and just how it really does take away just some basic things that drivers of the past used to be able to use to their advantage. And just the whole setup, the mechanics of the car are so different that it does bring about more parity, which we saw the opening year of this car coming out. So, yeah, there is something to that, Kenny. Is it robbing us of some Larson wins, some Busch wins, some whatever? Potentially. But it's given us some Bell wins. It's given us some Bowman wins. So, 6-1, half a dozen another. There's no true legitimate argument on either side.
Richard?
Yeah.
She might be onto something. And given the fact that we've been successful for 25 years of doing Speed Freaks and the Freak Radio Network and every other freaking video processor here on the planet, you might be onto something, Crasher.
I feel like you're being facetious.
No, I'm not. It has brought parity. And no. Where's my Bowman?
No, it's
Byron.
to your right,
He's right up
on
over
top
there.
of Bluey. Yeah, there's William Boring right there. There you go.
All right, first of all, William Boring is a hell of a driver. I'm not denying that. But with the parity of this car and the development of this car to get here, limiting those that are, limited those that are true freaking drivers that can drive anything, Kyle Larson and others, Christopher Bell, has brought in cats like this who got their rides from watching a freaking television set. Man, I sounded old there, didn't I?
Yes.
Right? From online.
But you build a skill set that way. It's just a different skill set, and clearly it is a successful skill set.
But do we... I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. All I'm saying is if we're playing off of what Kyle Busch is saying and Kyle Larson is saying and bringing in the parity that some dude can sit in his freaking basement with 3 screens in front of him, come in here and compete with world-class freaking drivers.
All right. So you have the drivers that feel it in the seat of their pants, kind of like Kyle Larson with the dirt background. You feel the nuances in your butt for 500 laps wherever you are. You can communicate to your crew chief specifically what is wrong with the car. That's been taken away. So that advantage by those guys that truly drive by the seat of their pants, that's gone. And now it just provides a blanket advantage to very different skill sets, allowing different drivers, hence the parity, to move up to the front.
Richard?
You were talking about Kevin Harvick crash, and there was something, and we didn't get a chance to get to this back on. We're going to talk about it on Horsepower Hump Day back on Wednesday, but we didn't get a chance to do it. Kevin Harvick brought up how at these 1.5-mile racetracks now, these guys are running completely wide open for the entire lap, right?
Yep.
And so what's happening is that's easy. Anybody in the Freak Nation could do that. Can go hammer to the floor and run around in a circle for 400 laps and be okay. And so Kevin was explaining, like, listen, you put more horsepower in these cars. Denny Hamlin talked about this on his podcast last year too. Put more horsepower in these cars, make them go faster. That's where you're going to really find the difference in making drivers drive the race car instead of the race car dictating everything. I guess if I'm trying to explain that right, where like you go to 1.5 miles and you're going to have to use the throttle a lot differently than they are now in this Gen 7 car, where you're flat out for the entire lap around the track. And
that is a nuance that separates the men from the boys.
Exactly.
Specifically.
And again, a lot of the drivers have been, I think even Dale Earnhardt Jr. was asking for this too recently on his show last year when horsepower became a topic. But like, that's an easy fix, man. They did it. They did it many years ago. And it was seemingly more of a success in terms of there being more of a discrepancy, and the best drivers were the ones that were coming out on top every week. And that's not the case anymore. I actually prefer it the way it is now. I like the parity. We talked about this seemingly all year.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the way it is now because I cannot tell a difference because in the way this car drives. When we watch it on TV, it looks the same. So I'd rather be able to tune into a race every week and go, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know if a plus 10,000 Josh Berry is going to win this week. Rather than 10 years ago, I was like, well, I'm going to tune in and watch Jimmy Johnson win again. That's not fun.
And when you hear the drivers chime in and talk about what a fantastic driver's race it was, it's like, okay, great. There were 37 drivers that enjoyed running on this racetrack in this car, but there were 3 million people that just watched a D-bag type race. It just looked like piss. Whether I'm not saying it's Homestead.
Glad you did.
But we've seen and heard that all the time when the drivers talk about, that was a great race. You're going, what the hell were you driving? That was a piece of garbage. Well, this car, I'm not in the car. Like you said, I'm not in the car feeling this by the seat of my pants. I'm in my freaking Sparko love seat driving a freaking... Sorry. I don't know what the hell my point I was getting at, but when Matt Weaver posted that on X and our good friend Cole Cusimano, who is... alive enough to text us from his freaking deathbed, as he's probably still throwing up, that Kyle Larson said, look, dude, I could have won 50 races since 2021 if we had the same car back in the day. Back in the day, 4 years ago. Back in the freaking day.
And he's not wrong.
I like the parity to a degree. It just hasn't created that The hate that how soon we forget the hate that Jimmy Johnson got. It had nothing to do with his personality. Jimmy Johnson could look you in the eye and insult your mother, your child, and it still wouldn't be insulting. He's such a nice guy. I'm not saying he's William Boring by any stretch, but
he likes to party.
We don't have that driver that we really hate anymore.
Because there's no domination.
Yeah. But there's still boos. The boos for Joey Logano are still pretty legit. Kyle Busch, they've gotten softer for Kyle Busch, surprisingly enough. You can't hate William Boring. You can't hate Christopher. Do people hate the fact that we talked about Kyle Larson for the first 40 minutes of this show? Right? Let's get used to it, I guess. That's where we are with this frickin'...
There's a tiny bit of hatred going for Kyle Larson because as he lost that Xfinity race yesterday, Saturday, Some people were chiming into comments around social media of, that's the greatest. There goes your greatest of all time fans. And so there's some people that don't like the Kyle Larson mentions.
Settle down.
That's not a bad thing.
The second hour coming up, Freak Nation, we're going to talk NHRA with Alexis DeJoria, a freaking badass in a funny car. Ran this weekend in Phoenix. Also, John Hunter Nemechek. His old man was so good at the Freak Nation 20 years ago when he would show up at these parties. We're talking about Front Row Joe Nemechek. We talked to his son, John Hunter Nemechek, and more coming up. Speed Freaks Pits, Lucas Oil Studios.